The Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
A couple of young women were touring around Bali just recently, Karina and Bella, and they'd been going to various places to stay at, and they decided it's time to up the tempo here now and stay at a nicer place.
Oh, yeah. So like a fancy villa.
Yeah.
That is the best. That's the Balinesian dream, isn't it, Shaun?
Yeah, it definitely is. And so they booked into a nice villa, and as they were travelling around, they go, okay, let's go to this place tomorrow. We're going to get there early, and because they've been travelling around, and we're really going to enjoy the whole day.
They're going to lap it up,
make every moment
because they've splurged on this place. Yeah.
So they roll into this villa, and first thing they do when they got there, they reckon that they were hot and sweaty, and it's been pretty muggy over that way. They just thought, we're going to strip off and jump into the pool. We've got a beautiful villa with a pool.
Celebrating the fact, you know.
Money.
Yeah.
So they jumped in. Next thing you know, they were yelling and screaming and having a good old time. Next thing you know, this guy comes out of a room that looks like it's just to the side of this pool.
Yeah.
And says,
what are you doing?
What is going on here?
Well, no, he didn't. He stood and watched for a while.
He did. He certainly did.
He's like, where are you from?
It turns out this private villa apparently was not private at all.
The villa might be private, but the pool's not.
It's not a pool. No, it's a shared pool.
You really want to check that before you start skinny dipping.
Oh, were they naked?
Yeah, no.
They were wearing bathers.
No,
okay.
No, in the nutty.
They were in the nutty.
Yeah, that's what they take.
Why would you do that anyway?
Because they were hot.
Yeah,
and also, like the temperature was quite warm.
Yeah, and you think you're by yourself, Ross, so you just do that.
I'm by myself all the time. I don't go naked.
Do you?
Sometimes.
Did that turn quick, Nat? Hey, look at that. You folded like a cheap tent, Ross.
Rapidly. I mean, that is the danger of when you think something is... when you think you're in private and it turns out that other people can see you.
I did worry about that last night. I was dropping my son off, and my older son Lachlan, he asked me to drop him somewhere last night, and I was just in some short shorts. Yeah, because I was about to go to bed.
Oh,
and that came across my mind.
Your tidy whities, driving around the street.
But at our house, many times people have jumped into the pool, and you've come out in the backyard, and they've walked through with their friends, and
like, who are you?
Yeah, and you're not wearing much.
I've stayed in a hotel in New York where, and it was beautiful, and the view was amazing, and there was a very discreet little kind of plaque with some writing on it in the window. So when you went over to the window to like close the curtains or whatever, you could see this little plaque, and it said something along the lines of, "We wish to advise you that." That people from the outside, if your light is on, can see in. So clearly the neighbours have complained about everybody just soaking up the view, but also then deciding to get it on with their partner and that the neighbours are getting a full-on show.
I was at a work gig I think it was Queensland, and the after party was in a high-rise balcony kind of thing.
Yes.
And my apartment where I was staying was directly opposite that, in the building opposite that. So I went home early, and then I'm getting getting text messages from my colleagues saying, "We can see you."
What were you doing, Ross?
I was just getting down to the undies.
Who's alone?
I was about to
stripping off for the audience.
Yeah. But I mean, the apartment thing, you see a lot of things, right?
Yeah, you do. There's what's the rooftop bar on the old Melbourne? There's an apartment. Yeah. When you're out there, apartment straight across. You can literally watch what the tenants or the residents are watching on TV. You can see it that clearly. It's like, imagine a whole rooftop of people just watching your every move.
Well, we want to talk about it if you thought something was private, but it turns out it was public or people were able to see, you know.
Have you been in this sort of situation? You didn't have to have been nude, but perhaps you were. Sarah's in Bedfordale. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Sarah.
All right, Sarah. When did you think you were in private, but it turns out you're a bit on the public side?
We built a new house, and the actual house was higher up than the house behind us.
Yeah.
So when you looked out at their house, our fence line was what they could see at the underneath of the fence. So I made friends with her through the kids at school and went round there for a coffee, say a couple of months later.
Yeah.
And her phone rang, and we've got a spa. And I sort of wandered around the house and walked outside, and I looked under the fence and looked sort of at eye level, and I could see our spa, and I'm like, oh, no.
What had you been doing in that spa, Sarah?
So it wasn't until she went out of the room to answer the phone you thought, I'll just have a look around, you know.
And
yeah,
you
you look out the window and
Yes.
I'm like, no. And anyway, she came off the phone and I said, you can see straight into our garden. She went, yes. I went, no.
Sarah, what had you been getting up to in that spa?
Some shenanigans?
We never wore clothes in the spa. Neither of us wore clothes in the spa. It was just, we thought it was private. It was going to be warm.
Yeah.
Day. It was great. I have never been so embarrassed. I didn't know what to do.
So did you say to her, oh, you've seen my boobs, haven't you? Is that what you said?
Well, kind of, yeah, not exactly, but yes, I knew
Yeah.
she'd
That
seen
was
my
the
boobs.
gist.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sarah's really,
that's mortifying.
No. Close neighbours.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
We
Close
did
in the
move
spa.
eventually.
I thought I'd come over and get to know you. I know a lot about you, actually. So.
I've seen a side of you and your husband. Sarah, that's mortifying. Thank you. Rachel's in Bellevue. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, Rach.
Rach, when did you think you were in private but you weren't?
Well, I had a similar story to the other lady. My partner and I booked an overnight stay down in Fremantle in this lovely little old cottage, which is very eccentric. And we'd gone in there to the main house, and there's two sections of the house. So it wasn't just a room. The other part of the other side of the house was a whole separate house. So we were under the impression that that's what we had got, and we were like, awesome. So we were having a romantic weekend, and there was stairs and there was an open balcony. We were wandering around the place, butt naked, making good use of the space.
Say no more. We're reading between the lines.
Where we went to the breakfast the next morning. The lady of the house, because there's another area where other guests stay. Well, they didn't tell us that there was other people staying in that part of the house. So we were walking around in the space that we thought wasn't common.
So it was a shared common space.
Oh, Rachel.
So it was really embarrassing. Needless to say, we didn't sit at the breakfast table. We were so embarrassed. The lady made a comment on how so cool we were, and I thought, oh my God, I'm dying. But yeah, it was quite embarrassing. And thank goodness we didn't lock eyes with the other people. I think they were a bit upset. And
They didn't come out of their rooms, Rach.
They refused to touch the kitchen benches for a while.
Oh my God, they're on the stairs. Oh my God, they're in the bathroom.
Stairs.
Having a bit of a Bridgerton moment. Yeah.
Well, most of those Airbnbs.
Wow. Yeah. They're too scared. They're just locked in their rooms going, we can't go out there. That is
That's good.
super awkward. Thank you, Rachel. Andrew's in Sorrento. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good,
Great, Andrea. Talk to us. When did you think you were in private but you weren't?
So we just built a house, and it's got these big glass double doors at the back, and we'd also got a granny flat out back.
Cool.
But we hadn't had anyone stay in the granny flat before because it was a newly built house.
Yep.
And my husband sleeps in the nude. So my friend came down from Broome, and she works odd hours because she's a nurse.
Yep.
And I get a text message one morning saying, please tell your husband to stop eating cheesels in the middle of the night, and for God's sake, put some pants on.
So he, in the middle of the night, gets up, needs a snack, just sits there nude eating cheesels.
Standing at the kitchen bench.
Standing,
eating cheesels.
yeah. I think standing
Because you
is
turn the
worth.
light, she could see.
Yeah, you can see in. That's the thing. If the light's on but it's dark outside, everybody can see in. And it's like a beacon. It's like a spotlight on you. And you're
Could see
cheesels eating.
everything.
What was he more ashamed of? Eating cheesels in the middle of the night, or has that your friend saw his doodle?
I think it was the cheesels.
That's true, it doesn't it? It's a whole separate shame, isn't it?
This is the Nathan, Nat and Shaun podcast.
Sean, I've taken offence at what you're doing now. Because all of a sudden you've started eating toast and peanut butter.
I've become a bit addicted to it. I'm
2 pieces, and you bring it in, and you'd like to take a bite of it just before we go on air, and then the peanut butter's all stuck to the roof of your mouth, and you can't talk properly.
Yeah.
But
opposed to?
I'm a little bit shocked that you paragon of fitness,
Yeah.
you put butter and peanut butter on your toast.
Always have.
Always should.
Not.
I
Always
could
should
never
not.
ha-
But it's butter. You're putting butter on butter. It's double fat. You don't need it.
Peanut paste, Natalie.
It's not peanut paste. It's called peanut butter. You know that.
Too dry with just the peanut
It's
butter.
not.
Thank you, Ross.
It's not.
Yeah,
It's
you
not.
need
Ross.
The butter soaks in, then the peanut butter is like the second layer.
If you had
Grow up.
a crumpet, would you just put the spread on top?
What's the spread?
Peanut paste?
Yes.
Nah, it's silly.
Nah, because you got to fill the holes with butter.
Yeah, but
And then
the
thing
peanut
on-
butter fills the holes.
Hey, Nat, let's take
It's
a vote.
in the name.
Butter and peanut butter?
No, you two don't count.
Then
It's
Can we
like
throw
two
this up
children.
and get people's opinion?
Yes, we will.
Waste of time. They're going to agree with us.
I reckon. Don't you
A
reckon?
waste of time. Everybody agrees. You don't need it,
in
Sean.
other
You're
spreads
supposed to
and-
be. You're somebody who's very
That's
body
why I have to
conscious.
go to the gym, because I prefer to eat this.
Yeah, fuels you to go. I get it.
That's right. Do the crime, do the time.
That's it.
We'll put it on our socials and everybody can have their say and you'll realise that I'm right.
Other spreads, are you across the board no butter with other spreads?
It depends what the other spread is, but I can have. I don't eat toast very often at all anymore.
yeah.
But Vegemite with no butter, I can do. But I prefer it with butter, but I can do it without butter. Yeah, I know. I know.
Nice as Sahara. Not for me.
Neither.
Are you going to take a bite now?
Yep.
Do it.
Oh, he's eating the crust as well. What a weirdo. Let's get on to that next.
It's the Nathan, Nat and Sean podcast.
There's a real differential between boys and girls when you've got young kids in your household,
Sure.
particularly teenagers and probably getting a little bit older than that.
Yeah.
So my daughter's really neat and tidy. You go into her room, everything's
In its place.
Yeah,
and-
in its place. And, she brushes her hair 100 times a day. And
I'm
all
just
that
here to
kind of
tell you that's not always the case with teenage
Okay,
daughters,
yeah,
but
yeah.
keep going. You've got a good one.
So last night, to my oldest boys, my oldest son comes home and he needed me. It was his girlfriend's birthday yesterday.
Yes.
So the number one thing, Megan did all the wrapping of the presents and organising of the card and stuff like that. So boys
Megan
are still
very,
hopeless in that way.
is very on board with this girlfriend. She really, wants her to stick around, so it's in her interest that she's happy.
Yeah, I say leave Rosie alone. Her name's Rosie. She's beautiful. Leave Rosie alone, mate. They're not going to break up because of Lachlan. They're going to break up because of you.
And not because you don't like her, because you like her too much.
Yeah. And then the younger son, Ollie, he comes home footy. Most nights he's got footy training. He comes home later after we've had dinner. And I always ask him to do the least amount of work in the kitchen because most of the time we've cleaned it and everyone's gone off to the room.
So he has to do the bare minimum.
Bare minimum. So last night, I go, before you go to bed, make sure you clean the breakfast bar. And there was only a couple of things on it. I made a prawn laksa thing. Was I talking to you about this the other day?
No.
Anyway, I made this
talking
thing.
to you about your laksa. Keep going.
I left out that you can put in the laksa was bean sprouts,
Yes.
a couple of other little bits and
Yes.
pieces. The only thing he needed to put away last night was the bean sprouts and put his bowl in the dishwasher.
So all you had to do is
That's it.
pick up the bean sprout, the packet of bean sprouts, and put it in the fridge. That's
Yes.
it. And then take his bowl that he'd eaten from and put it in the dishwasher. Couldn't do it.
I got up this morning and when I was going into the cupboard to get some protein powder, there was some bean sprouts.
He put them in the
He put them in the cupboard.
How do these people function in life?
I don't know.
In his defence, they might have been warm by the time he got to him, and he just figured, let's the room
No,
temperature.
you look at a
Bean
bean sprout and go, that
sprouts
needs
in
to
the
be
cupboard.
refrigerated. Like, you use your
I would have
common
thought
sense.
so.
No, it happens. I could see
I
that.
think it's just teenage boys. They just don't take anything in. We've all been one.
And legit don't care.
And don't care.
There's no consequence to
It
that.
just shocked me.
The only consequence for him for that action is that you talk about it on the radio. That's it.
Yeah, when he's asleep.
Yeah. Oliver McManus. We'll use his full name.
That's
Yeah.
Bean
just in
sprouts
case.
in the cupboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, righto,
No,
mate.
Okay.
It's not that hard. Put it in the
He
fridge.
literally, when you say that saying you had one job, he literally had one job and he screwed it up. Great work.
This is the Nathan, Nat and Sean podcast.
What a way to go out with a bang. You may have seen this story. There is an Upper House Labor MP from WA, Kyle McGinn.
Never heard of him.
Cole McGinn, where's he from? Where's he from?
Goldfields.
His constituents, I believe, are the Goldfields, right?
Oh, yeah, cool.
So he had his, they call it the valedictory speech, where he wraps up in Parliament. So it's like the full, in Parliament. It's you stand up, they tell you can speak and stuff like that. And this is his goodbye, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just,
Swan
before we
song.
get to that, his swan song, we've just had an election.
Yeah, he's upper house though, so maybe I don't know.
Oh,
if there's
Senate,
any-
so okay, 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And before he even started, so it was 56 minutes he spoke for, but before he started, people must have thought something was going to happen because I don't think it's called the speaker, but the equivalent speaker.
No, I think it is called the speaker.
Okay, great. Said this. So this is her kind of like warning before he started his thing.
This is the valedictory speech of the Honourable Kyle McGinn, and I point out that the usual courtesies and convention of the House apply.
So like, hey, just a heads up, just be cool. That's what I
And
got.
he's like,
He's got a reputation.
I'm from Kalgoorlie.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? Kick me out because I'm finishing?
Yeah. So
Okay.
first thing he does is he takes off his shoe, and he does it, and then he speaks for 56 minutes.
56 minutes, by the way.
Yeah.
No one's heard of you. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, why all of a sudden do you feel a need to talk
56
minutes?
If you're going out, you may as well take 56 minutes.
No, short, sharp, get it done.
Bore yourself.
A tight 5.
This is how, now it all made sense at the end when he finished with his one shoe. This is how he wrapped up his final time in Parliament.
I thought so long and hard about how I will finish this speech, and my constituents in the goldfields, I think, will be particularly appreciative. There was only one way to do it, and I'm used to getting told off, so we might as well get this over and done with. But I would like to say to the members and the constituents across WA, thank you for 2 fantastic terms.
He pulls out a beer at this point and pours it into his shoe and does a shoey.
The Honourable Kyle McGinn will take his seat. Now.
Put your shoe back on.
He had a tinny. He got a tinny, cracked it open, poured it in his black fancy dress shoe, and just necked it.
Yeah. I mean, you don't need to be told twice that it's from Kalgoorlie, but also, I mean, it could have been worse. He could have pulled a brown eye. So we know what they're capable of out there.
Wow.
Anyway, we know him now. Well done.
We know him.
Yeah, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody good pension, though. Well done. Shoeys galore.
Good job, son.
Nathan, Nat and Shaun is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcasts.com.au. Nova.